Do you have maybe some tips or strategies where parents can help see strengths or encourage others to see strengths and then facilitate that? Because as you said, that there's a beautiful quote I'm going to butcher, but something to the extent of, that what we need is a society that diagnoses strengths, right? And I love that idea. How can we diagnose strengths?
Well, honestly, I think, and I'm really speaking right now more to parents than educators, though educators too, is focus on where a young person can do her or his best work. Now, understand that one's best work may not be what you have in mind for them. It may not even measure up to the politicized standards that schools have to live with these days. But it is nonetheless reflective of their best effort. You see them work, you see them engage, you see them persevere, you see them do all the things we know are reflective of someone who's doing his or her best work. And that needs to be the centerpiece for that child's educational being. This is radical today. It was not radical 100 years ago, by the way,
Mhm.
but it is radical today. We have somehow so politicized schools, and this makes me very sad, that we have this notion that there's one imaginary template, sort of like a puzzle shape, and everyone must fit exactly into it or be damned with them. They don't fit at all. And I'm convinced that's one of the reasons we have such a plethora of diagnoses these days. I mean, it's like these days, every other kid's being diagnosed with something. And that's not to say the diagnoses aren't real. They may be real. But my concern is that the diagnoses then become the dominant feature for that child rather than his or her strength. And the diagnoses, let's face it, again, it ascribes to the medical model of find it, fix it. Find what's wrong, and we're going to do repair work with you until it gets repaired or closely repaired. And I contend that that may in some ways be necessary. For example, I'm convinced you have to know your alphabet. I mean, you have to. You just have to. There are some non-negotiables, and we have to keep working with children until they get those. But beyond whatever those non-negotiables are, and as an aside, I challenge all educators to figure out what the non-negotiables are. I think we've made a lot of things be non-negotiables when in fact they're very negotiable. Um, but they've become non-negotiables because, again, the politicized standards have been set up that everyone must be able to achieve X. I recall not long ago in a state where it was decreed that everyone must pass Algebra 2. Now, I'm a math guy. So for me, I think, oh, cool, great. But not everyone loves math, and not everyone finds that their cup of tea. Not everyone's particularly motivated or good at it. Why would you raise the bar that high? And I actually asked that in a public meeting, and a very stern woman said, because we want the majority of people to go to college. I said, that's a lofty goal. But I said, think about it this way. If everyone goes to college and everyone pursues an academic pathway for her or his life's work, who's going to do all the other jobs that make a society click? And she said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, for example, I'm terrible at car repair. I've tried and I'm terrible. Who's going to fix my car and do it well? Plumbing, I'm terrible at it. I've tried and I'm bad. So who's going to do the plumbing? And then I started referencing people in my own family who had not gone to college and quite frankly were wildly and are wildly successful, more than I, doing things that did not demand college educations. Now I know, again, that just drives people crazy when I say that. Yet again, referencing people from my own family, they out earn me. They live very well. That's not to say college isn't good for some people, but if it's good for some people, then why aren't other vocational careers good for other people? Why can't we let individual strengths serve as the divining rod, if you will, for each individual's career development and career pathway? Why can't we do that? And again, we've got to do a better job at defining what non-negotiable skills and knowledge mean, because we've not done a very good job. But beyond those non-negotiables, why can't we open up the door for more room in the school curriculum to tailor education to kids' talents?